Yamaha time is 20 past 12 this Friday lunchtime, and hello to you if you're just joining us. We're building up towards the start of the senior TT, sponsored by Standard Bank Offshore. Bit of activity down at trackside, so let's rejoin Chris Kinley.
Welcome down to Parc Ferme. Well, as you can understand, the Classic Parade bikes are actually being scrutinised and put through at the moment as well. Some lovely looking machinery sat here. Well, of course, we're going to describe all the action and hopefully bring you all the noise of that a bit later on. But let's get this, the big one out of the way. It's the senior TT. This is it. It's 4 laps, and if it's anything as good as the last race, this should be something else. I'm just having a little look around. Most of these bikes have been sat here for a few hours now. A few of them with umbrellas over the fuel tanks just for the fuel. I can see Adrian Archibald's bike being warmed. Of course, Adrian won the senior last year. There's Bruce Anstey's machine right next to him under that nice Ta Suzuki awning. Ian Locker's bike's there. All the bikes are here ready to go, and I would say it's, if anything, it's probably got a little bit warmer. So the wind seems to, I don't know, I've moved round a little bit and coming more from, as you look down Glencrutchy Road, from right to left instead of like sort of right down the middle to the left and then sometimes going the other way. It's now more generally going from right to left across Glencrutchy Road, which will give them a bit of a sort of a help across the mountain. But as you can understand, with 20, let's try and work this out, 28 minutes, is that right? No, it's not, is it? I don't know yet. 23 minutes, thank you, Tim O'Hanlon, spot a timekeeper. He can get the times worked out in his head straight away. 23 minutes away from the start of this race. It is a little bit quiet down here. Of course, Bruce and Ryan, and of course John's still probably in the press area, giving various interviews to all the media around the world. But a good crowd again watching the Production 600 race. Some frenetic action in the pit stops as well, and I'm just looking to see who's going to have the camera on the bike this time. I think it is Richard Britton's machine, is Patio Kane Suzuki. Yes, it is as well. Now then, what's that just fired up there? I think that's an MV. It is, yes, lovely MV. Just actually starts up there. You can hear that in the background. That's giving you a nice bit of background noise there. There you go. Have a listen to that. Absolutely beautiful machine as well. I love the old Vincent here as well. Listen to that. Listen to that. That's what you've got to come a little bit later on after the senior TT. Then a lot of these bikes will be down at Ballown tomorrow. So if you don't get to see them today, if you're off and about doing something else and you're down at Ballown tomorrow, those bikes are going to be doing parade laps after every race down there at Ballown, which are 3 races tomorrow. Let's move in and have a quick word with young Martin Finnegan, if I can. Actually, has got the spanners and the screwdrivers in the hand. Went okay, didn't it, the Bronte race?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, Chris. I'm not very fond of riding in the damp, and I just couldn't sort of get my head around the start, and we were working all night trying to build the engine up, and we ended up having to use a production engine this morning for the Formula 1, so I think I'm a bit tired, so I had to get a power nap there between that one.
Bit of a power sleep, but yeah, power nap, that's what they call it. So what are you expecting from this race? I think it's got a little bit warmer, hasn't it?
Yeah, it feels the temperature's creeping up a bit, so hopefully it'll be dry enough for full slicks and just try to get the head down from the start.
Andy McGladdery says you're all action into Ramsey Hairpin.
I think Andy's just afraid. He's been away from it too long.
Certainly has, but what are you looking for in this race, Martin?
I just hope I got a good top 10 finish, Chris.
Okay, mate, okay, I know you've been working hard. You actually look knackered, actually.
I feel it.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much for talking to us there. There's Sean Harris just gone through as well. Sean had a pretty reasonable finish in the Production 600 that just gone. Finally got to finish his mechanics. I said it's nice to be able to do a fuel stop, so it's quite good that Sean got a finish there as well. A bit of a smile on his face as well from the stage here, but let's get a quick word with Sean. You got to finish, mate.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my sponsors for finishing so lowly, but I've just spoken to Stuart Black from Black's Bikes, and he's as happy as a pig in the proverbial to have me here, and I'm smiling, I'm happy. It's just been a bad year. Next year's another year. It's just around the corner. About to go out on the Wilson and Collins ZX10 now, so I'll do the best again that I can for those guys, and look forward to the future. I'm not saying I'm quitting, but what I'm saying is next year's another year, and I'll be back and better prepared.
The thing is as well, it's a brand new bike, this ZX10, and everybody who's got them knows they are, because they're a new bike. The Fireblade's a new bike. There's a lot of, and the R1 of course, there's a lot of new bikes out there this year. Quite difficult to set up the ZX10, Sean.
No, I don't believe the bike itself is difficult to set up. We put a combination of stuff into it at the beginning of the week. My head wasn't in gear because I was quite sick. It's no excuse, it's genuine. So basically we had the bike going in the complete opposite direction to where we needed, and we kept missing the sweet spot by X amount of millimetres each time. And basically progressively made it worse, then got it better, then took a radical jump in the same direction, which made it even worse again. So effectively, I'm going out on the motorbike this time that I've qualified, but never ridden with the setup we've got in it. We did a lot of work on it yesterday. Hopefully, the intellect of our thought is correct. We'll find out in a minute once the flag drops. You know, I'll know by the lights, which is less than a quarter of a mile away, if the bike's going to be capable of being ridden semi-fast or not. So, you know, I'm just going to do the best job that I can for everybody that's supporting me here.
As you always do.
Yeah, I try to do my best, and enjoyed myself out there like too much in that 600 race. I was actually having fun, and when I'm having fun, I'm not concentrating as hard as I could, which means I'm not going as fast as what I could. Being on the road with Martin Finnegan even made it even more fun, because I was laughing, watching him, smiling, watching him back it in the way he does into corners. It's just the way Martin rides from his dirt tracking stuff, and you know, I was enjoying myself. If I'm guilty of letting my sponsors down for that, well, hey, I humbly apologise, but I've had a real bad week, and I never ever leave the Isle of Man with a negative attitude. I've now got a positive attitude, so it's just onwards and upwards.
Okay, Sean, thanks for talking to us. Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go, Sean Harris, of course, with always some good thoughts and always good comments. Let's go back to the grandstand, the MCN grandstand.
Here is a notice to all owners of domestic pets and livestock in areas adjoining the TT course. Please ensure that all animals are secure during practice and race periods.
Yeah, sorry, Chris, it is me. Jumping under me there like somebody trying to get underneath a rider at Ramsey Hairpin. I think it was Ryan, wasn't it, who pulled off the spectacular move there when Andy was commentating earlier on. Charlie Lambert here with the grandstand team. We've got an urgent message for Frank Kay to attend the race office. Will Frank Kay please attend the race office? We've also got a big pat on the back and a thank you to Barry MacDonald out at Ballath Bridge, who's collected £1,423 for the helicopter fund, and that's from spectators in the Ballath area. So excellent work. Well done, Barry MacDonald. That's much appreciated. We are just over a quarter of an hour away from the start of the Standard Bank Offshore Senior TT, so it's time for me to give you the changes to the official race guide. So if you're suitably poised, on page 40 of the race guide, there are quite a number of changes to get through. And we're starting off with, who else but number 6, Ryan Farquhar, who will not be on a Kawasaki this time around, but will be riding a Suzuki. So Ryan Farquhar riding a 1000 McAdoo Suzuki at number 6. Number 9, Chris Heath will be on a Honda. Chris Heath on a 1000cc Honda. Number 11, Nigel Davis, 1000cc Suzuki. Nigel Davis on a Suzuki. Number 28 is a change of entrant. It's Davy Morgan, who's moved up from number 45, and he'll be riding a 750cc Suzuki. Number 28, Davy Morgan, moved up from 45 on a 750 Suzuki. Number 33, which is blank on the race guide, James McBride on a 1000cc Suzuki. Plate number 33, James McBride, 1000cc Suzuki. Number 36, which is also blank, Andy Wallace, promoted from number 77 on a 750 Suzuki. 36 is now Andy Wallace, moved up from 77 on a 750cc Suzuki. Number 39 is again a change of entry. It's Maria Costello. Number 39 is Maria Costello on a 750cc Suzuki. Maria Costello on the 750cc Suzuki. There goes the klaxon for 15 minutes to the start of the race. We'll continue with the changes to the race guide. At number 45, it's not Davy Morgan who's been promoted, it's John Burrows, who in turn moves up from number 62. So 45 is now John Burrows, riding a 1000cc Suzuki. 46, which is blank on the race guide, will now be Stefano Bonetti on a 600 Yamaha. 46, Stefano Bonetti on a 600 Yamaha. A change of bike for number 47, Alan Jackson. He is now on a Honda. Number 47, Alan Jackson, rides a Honda. Number 51, Fabrice Miguet. A change of machine, is not on the R1 as printed, but will be riding the Vauxhall. You'll enjoy that one if you haven't seen it already. Fabrice Miguet on the Vauxhall. Change at number 55, Paul Owen is not a newcomer as printed. Paul Owen is not a newcomer as printed. Number 57, which is blank, will now be Tony Reckberger, who moves up from number 82. So 57 is now Tony Reckberger on a 1000cc Suzuki. Tony Reckberger on a 1000cc Suzuki. And 58, which is also blank, will be Umberto Rumiano. Umberto Rumiano on a 750 MV Agusta. Well, I said there were a few changes. There are still a few more to come. Number 61, Andy Jackson, change of machine, is on a 600cc Honda. 61, Andy Jackson, a 600cc Honda. Number 62, John Burrows. That's now a non-starter because John's moved up to 45. So 62 is now a non-starter. John has been promoted in the order. Number 63, Geert Lambrecht, change of machinery, is on a 1000cc Suzuki. 63, Geert Lambrecht on a 1000cc Suzuki. Number 67, change of entrant, is not John Crellin, it's Stephen Oates. Number 67, Stephen Oates on a 1000cc Yamaha. At number 70, where there's a blank, that will be Etienne Goddard on a 600 Yamaha. Number 70, Etienne Goddard on a 600cc Yamaha. Number 72 is a non-starter. Number 72, Noel Clegg, is a non-starter. Change of entrant at number 77. Andy Wallace has been promoted. 77 will now be the plate of Duncan Bailey. Duncan Bailey on a 600cc Yamaha. Number 82 is now a non-starter because Tony Reckberger has moved up the order, so 82 is a non-starter. And 85, which is blank, will now be Kevin Murphy on a 600cc Triumph Daytona. Number 85, Kevin Murphy on a 600cc Triumph Daytona. Two non-starters at 87 and 88. 87 and 88 are both non-starters. A change of machine for David Paradis at 89. David Paradis is now on a 1000cc Suzuki. 89, David Paradis on a Suzuki. And the final change to the published list is at number 90. Change of entrant, it is now Anita Buxton. Anita Buxton on a 1000cc Suzuki. So that completes the changes and also gives you the non-starters. The non-starters also include my lunch because it's such a rush between the two races, but in the meantime I'll take a quick nibble and we'll have a short break.
Whatever your needs, Sleepwell Hotels can accommodate you. With 4 great hotels, from the exclusive Claremont to the Chester House, Rutland and Regal, we're the largest group on the island. There's also loads to keep you entertained this TT, with a special pre-opening preview of Coast Bar Brasserie at the Claremont. Plus, catch all the fun of the new bar in the refurbished Rutland. Sleepwell Hotels, your TT hosts. Make your booking on 673636.
Let Charlie have his lunch. Welcome back down to Parc Ferme. There's Nigel Beattie, and of course all the classic bikes are getting themselves ready in here as well for this parade a bit later on, which is going to be a lot of noise and a lot of fun this year. There's Guy Martin, of course, went very, very well again. There's the Laxey boys. So Nigel Beattie's there, of course. 26 actually, just getting 26, who is of course Andy Marsden on the Bike Care Yam. He's not got his rear wheel in just yet, so they're just probably waiting. He was actually telling me on the mountain on the second lap, one of the Jackson lads, that there's a bit of rain up on the mountain as well, so hopefully that's going to have blown it away. Just have a look up onto the grid, and one bike up there so far, and it's well, there's 2 bikes actually. It's number 50, who's Paul Dobbs on a ZX9 for New Zealand, and Ian Locker's CBR machine is on the grid as well. That's number 2. So, 10 minutes to go to the start, and there's only, 2 bikes up there on the grid. There's Davey Morgan. We'll go down and see if we can get some more guys and girls to have a little word with, actually, as well. Nigel Beattie's there, actually. We'll see if we can get a word with the Beats Master. And here we go. He's the Renegade Master. Yeah, come on. Well, today you've not been out this morning, so you won't know what it's like out there, but you're looking forward to this on the Rocket R1?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I could have probably done with having a run out this morning, because by all accounts it is a bit patchy here and there, and you know, I'm just going to have to take that first sort of lap, sort of blind really, you know, just go from the word that sort of people have said where it is a bit damp, but you know, hopefully that was like an hour ago, so hopefully it's dried out a little bit more, but you know, the first lap will just be a sort of have a look around and then sort of build it on that.
Be giving the old man a bit of advice for later on?
I'm a bit worried about that, to be honest. Yeah, no, we should be all right. I mean, that bike's never broke down once. It's always finished. So hopefully we can keep up the 100% record.
You'd be going to bed with no tea if he breaks it, won't he, Nigel?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be speaking to him for a while anyway.
All right, Nigel, you've had a great week, haven't you? So good luck for today.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris.
There we go, and there they go, the Renegade Masters. Okay, thank you very much. Let's have a quick word with the young man here. I know it's probably not sunk in about the production race yet, so I'm not going to ask you about that, but let's look forward to this one. The senior TT, let's hope your form now hopefully is back again. You can continue today.
I just hope everyone goes okay. I'll just get stuck in, try and get a good steady ride. I've got what I've came for this year, and anything else is going to be a bonus, you know, so if we can slip into the first 6, we'll be well pleased.
She's already told me off for putting the microphone under her face. She's a bit fierce when she's get going, isn't she?
And she slags me off about the way I make my interviews, you know, but I can slag her off now. But no, everyone, you know, everyone went brilliant, and you know, I'm glad to give Kawasaki a production win. When McAdoo, that's his first win. He has been trying for years, and you know, to pull it off is something special. Like.
I'm just going to say that you've had an awful week, but now this has all come good now for you, and that little sparkle's back in your eye again, and the smile is etched back on your face again, which wasn't on Wednesday, Monday, and all last week.
Well, you know, I'll maybe if I get into a steady rhythm now on the big bike. You know, I had a few problems practice, you know, handling, but I went out on Wednesday evening. I couldn't get my head around it after what all happened. You know, it was just scundered. But hopefully now, if we can get stuck in there, just get a steady ride and go out, have a couple of drinks tonight and enjoy ourselves.
Just a couple?
Well, I'm riding tomorrow, so I
can't. Yeah, okay. All right, Ryan, good luck, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. If I don't speak to you before, Ryan Falcott there, of course, and Karen as well. Good interview he is, Karen. She always has a nice word as well, and of course, expecting their first baby pretty soon as well. So lots of bikes being moved. Did I say as well again? I did, didn't I? Then all the bikes being moved up onto the grid now, and there is Nigel Beattie, all his lid on and stuff now. The boy from Laxey going very, very well. A good future. Guy Martin, of course, another good ride for Guy today as well. There's Big H's Suzuki. His Kringle machine being warmed up in the corner as well. I'm going to have a little wander back in and see if I can find some more guys, because you don't want to try and get in the way while they're getting ready as well. Let's have a word with Mark Parrott, actually, if I can, very quickly. Another steady ride, Mark?
Yeah, steady away. It's just a bit of lack of confidence, really, with the damp conditions. Not great, no problem. Yeah, up through Glen Ellen first lap. Ballacrane to Glen Ellen was a touch damp. A couple of little slides, nothing big, but it's enough to just knock your confidence a touch.
Especially on the production bike as well, you don't want any slide. Are you on slicks in this one, by the way?
I'm on slicks now, yeah. I mean, if it hasn't rained anywhere, it'll be boned right, it'll be good conditions, apart from the high winds over the mountain.
Did you spot any rain up on top in the first race? Somebody said there was a bit of rain up on top.
I didn't notice any, no. I didn't go through any. It might have come down 4 after I got there. But I mean, with the wind like it is, it should dry up quick.
Should do. You've had a good week this week, haven't you? You must be really pleased.
Yeah, it's gone a lot better than I thought it would. I mean, if I can have a good run here, it might be top 10 all week. We'll wait and see, you know, last race of the day. Just be nice to get back and get a beer in for the boys.
What about tomorrow down Castletown, no?
Yep, down there tomorrow. I've got 600 in a big race. See how it goes. It's just a bit of a rundown at the end of a good week.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for talking to us again. Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go, Mark Parrott there as well. I did nearly said it again then. And let's have a little look around, see if we can find anybody else. Now, that is the 5-minute klaxon, and there's still a lot of bikes sat down here. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, they're just all chilling out and just taking it easy, and all the bikes are sat down here. Does everybody know that it's a 1:45 start? They could all be caught out here. I think somebody's going to have a little wander around and tell all these guys and girls that it is a 1:45 start. Nigel Beattie's R1 gets the push up the hill. Alex Donaldson there, of course. I know there'll be people from Alex Donaldson Donaldson's area of the world, which is Limavady, which is about 10 miles away from the Portrush, Port Stewart area as well. I'm going to have a quick word with Adrian as he walks up towards his bike, sees me coming and grimaces. Hello, Adrian. Not having the best of weeks by your high standard, but you're getting finishes. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. You know, obviously we'd like to be a bit higher up, but now the last race there was a bit slippy out, you know, out to Glen Helen, and a couple of moments there in the first lap, and that was just enough for me.
Hopefully they'll have dried up for this race, because of course no treaded tyres on these. You're in for full slicks. I'm just looking at it there.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and well, it was all right there in the last lap of the race, you know, so I'm looking forward to having a good run here.
Okay, Adrian, you've not got long to the start. I won't hold you up anymore, thank you. Adrian Archibald. Okay, let's head back to the MCN grandstand.
Setting the scene. Brought to you by Sleepwell Hotels, the island's largest hotel group. Catering for everyone.
Yeah, that's all right. I was just telling some of the guys, yeah, that's why he's up here. I was just telling the boys that it's a 1:45 start. There seems to be very laxy-daisy about this. They really, really seem to be. Oh, the Renegade Masters. That's them. The Richard Britton bike comes up to the top as well. There's John McGuinness just talking to Ryan as let's have a little look who else we can find round as well, because we don't want to talk to the same people every time, because that get a bit predictable. Here's Richard Britton. Let's go and have a word with Richard actually as well. Lots of front-end chatter and lots of break-in chatter. He's just about to put his lid on. Let's get that under. Oh, he's seen me coming and did it straight away. Yeah, a bit exciting going into Ramsey Hairpin, they were telling me in the production race.
Yeah, the front forks just wasn't right set up on it. Like, if I would have had my Super Sport forks in, but they would have been illegal and I'd been through out, so, but they were working fine, but I just couldn't get them to work right, so I wasn't really bored, just wanted to finish.
What about this one, by the way, the senior? What about this, your GSXR Patsy bike?
The bike's going really well. We had a wee problem in the Formula 1. There was a misfire in the downshift. We found out there was a resistor burned out, or was making a connection and not making a connection, so we'll have it sorted now and hopefully it'll work all right, but just want to finish, you know. It's very windy out there on the big bike. It'll be a lot more hard work.
Okay, Richard, I'll let you go. Not long to go to the start. Richard Britton, thank you very much as well, and I hope your good lady's a bit better, yeah?
Yeah, she's getting out today, so hopefully get home tomorrow and see you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. So a smile on his face again that his good lady is obviously getting out of hospital, so that's good to see. John McGuinness's R1 goes past me. So it is 2 minutes to go to the start of the senior TT, so we'll hand you back to the MCN grandstand.
Chris, thanks very much indeed. Well, welcome back to the grandstand, and welcome wherever you may be listening. If you're around the circuit in your favourite place, or maybe at one of the big congregating points such as Quarterbridge or Parliament Square, or up on the Gooseneck, out at Ballath, wherever you are, I'm sure you've enjoyed the racing this week. And here we go with the Standard Bank Offshore TT. If you're listening to us on 1368 Radio TT on the Isle of Man in the United Kingdom or in Ireland, welcome to you as well. And as ever, a special welcome if you're listening worldwide, New Zealand, Australia, the USA, South Africa, wherever, by streaming audio, www.radiott.com. Wherever you may be, welcome to our live broadcast from the Offshore Bank Senior TT. We are just over a minute away from the start of the race, the Senior TT on the Isle of Man, one of the most famous races in world motorsport, first contested in 1911, won by men who are legends in motorcycle history, men who became legends by winning the Senior TT. Stanley Woods, Jimmy Guthrie, Jeff Duke, John Surtees, Mike Halewood, Giacomo Agostini, Phil Reed, Joey Dunlop, Carl Fogarty, Steve Hislop, Philip McCallan, and David Jeffries. The man who won this race last year, Adrian Archibald, is on the line, number one. The man who's achieved sporting greatness this week, John McGuinness, waits behind on bike number 3. Behind for now, but for how long? We're into the final 10 seconds before the start of the race. Starter, Richard Corkill, Chief Minister of the Isle of Man, who's on the podium, and he waves the flag, and the Senior TT is underway. And there goes Adrian Archibald on the Taz Suzuki, the winner last year, the holder of the title, and he's followed now by bike number 2, that's Ian Locker on the 998 Honda CBR. And now John McGuinness, winner of the Formula 1. And away he goes. backside just lifting slightly out of the seat. I'm not sure if the engine sounded quite as clean as it has been doing, but anyway, he's on his way. And there goes number 4, Jason Griffiths on the Yamaha R1. And now the sun really is glinting on the fairing of Bruce Anstey, the Flying Kiwi, number 5. A glorious afternoon here in Douglas on the Isle of Man as Anstey sets off. 1 win under his belt already. How he would love to take this title back to New Zealand. And here is Ryan Farquhar. He swapped his Kawasaki for a Suzuki for this race. A victor already today. His first TT win. What emotions must be going through his mind as he plunges down Bray Hill. And away goes number 7, Sean Harris from New Zealand on the Kawasaki ZX-10. Next to go will be Richard Britton. Away goes Richard Britton on the O'Kane Suzuki from Enniskillen in Northern Ireland. Number 9 is Chris Heath. And Chris is away from the start line, passing in front of us along the pits and away under the footbridge and past St Ninians. Next off is Mark Parrott and the all-black leathers. Mark Parrott on the King's Court Yamaha R1, and he'll be followed by Nigel Davis. Nigel Davis on the 1000cc Suzuki, and away goes Nigel, just controlling the front end. He wants to rise up and say hello to the challenge that awaits it, but away he goes under the footbridge, and now it's rider number 12, the spectacular Martin Finnegan, whose week has been getting better and better after a disappointing start. 6th in the Junior TT the other day, Martin Finnegan. No rider at 13, so we look to the start line again, and here is Gary Carswell from the Isle of Man, who was 15th in the junior. Away goes Gary, and again the front end just lifting up as he passes in front of us and passes alongside the scoreboard, and away he goes. And now here comes Big H, the fireman from Braddon. Missed out this morning in the Proddy 600, but away he goes. He failed to finish the senior last time, running out of petrol, so with a bit of luck he will be doing better this time as number 16 John Barton takes off as well. We'll take a short break.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Great clothing, great choice, great value. Where? Behind the grandstand. There's a fabulous selection of quality TT merchandise for the whole family. Make this a TT to remember and buy your official gear from Motorsport Merchandise or visit ttmerchandise.com.
Everyone knows that the all-new Yamaha R1 is this year's must-have bike, but with fantastic insurance deals through Yamaha Insurance Services on award-winning R6 and Phaser 600, there's never been a better time to visit your local Yamaha dealer. Log on to yamaha-motor.co.uk for more details.
Well, Paul Duckett has missed his starting slot, which was at 18, but we hear that he will be allowed to start at the back of the field with no time penalty. So number 18, Paul Duckett, won't be in his usual place on the road. Subject to confirmation, he will be allowed to start at the back of the field. We saw Gordon Blackley get away, Gordon riding the Honda CBR, which was raced by Keele Bryce at the British Superbike meeting at Thruxton last weekend. Much publicity surrounding that. It was flown in by RAF Hercules to Ronaldsway so that Gordon could ride it here today. So he is off safely on his way, and as I mentioned, Paul Duckett is going to have to wait. There is an oil warning out for Windy Corner on the board, an oil warning out for Windy Corner. That's number 26, Andrew Marsden, who gets underway, he retired at the pits in the junior, but he's off now. But the leaders will be approaching Motorcycle News Glen Helen. Here's Morris.
Thank you, Charlie. The relevant times probably from last Saturday more than last year in the delayed race. Archibald was here in 4:31. What will he be today? But he's through. Round the left-hander, conditions considerably improved than those from earlier in the day with dry roads, but the second man's here now. Locker. He's through. McGuinness was 4:26 last Saturday. What will he be this time? Little twitch there, but he's safely round this long left-hander, and I suspect has already caught up time on the two in front of him on that first 9.5 mile run, and suddenly the road's quiet. Those three away with it. They're in sequence. It was Archibald, Locker, McGuinness, but McGuinness looked up on time, but this is fairly quick. Jason Griffiths, but not pulled out quite as much as perhaps McGuinness has. We'll shuffle them in when we can get them, but great conditions now for racing. There's Anstey. Wider line from Anstey this time, but he's safely round that long left-hander, and well, great conditions for racing. Saturday, what was it, 1:27.68, the first lap for McGuinness. And there is Ryan Farquhar, winner of the earlier event, and I'm sure absolutely elated and pleased to be out in the senior, but the first win under his belt, he's safely through. Will McGuinness set the pattern, the strategy, the tactic he's used previously this week in going for this 4th victory? Richard Britton, 8th last year for Richard, but that man, Sean Harris, has been overtaken by Britton on this first run. Maybe a bit of a panic there for Sean Harris's pit, but he's safely through. But he's been overtaken by Richard Britton on the road, so Britton obviously pulled out a lot of time on Sean Harris. It is number 3 McGuinness who leads by 4 seconds here from Locker. 9 and 10 absolutely together. Chris Heath and Mark Parrott. Chris Heath 19th last year, Mark Parrott 9. But the race leader, number 3, John McGuinness, 4 seconds up on Ian Locker. Then jointly in 3rd place, we've got Adrian Archibald and Bruce Anstey. They're 2 seconds down on Locker. 11 and 12. So Martin Finnegan right behind Nigel Davis there. So he's pulled back virtually all of that starting interval, that 10 seconds. And I'm sure will be ahead of Nigel Davis in the not too distant future. But McGuinness flying through here. 4 seconds his advantage already over Ian Locker, who wasn't exactly slow. I suspect that was Gary Carswell. Ahead of Paul Hunt, definitely distinctive there, Big H, out for his 1 race of the day. I think 9th place he achieved Wednesday, so Paul Hunt looking for a good performance. As I said the other day, I didn't realise he was 42. I would have given him about 28 as the age creeps up on us. So it's number 3, McGuinness, by that 4 seconds. Get another interview, 17, Gordon Blackley. 18 right behind him there, Paul Duckett. So the local competitor Paul Duckett has pulled up a bunch of time there on Gordon Blackley. Let's just repeat that joint 3rd place, Adrian Archibald and Bruce Anstey. They're 2 seconds down on Locker. And then in joint 5th place, we've got numbers 4, Jason Griffiths, but Paul Hunt's up into that, so there's one to watch. Number 15, Paul Hunt, up into joint 5th place. We make him here, just behind that battle for 3rd. Pick up some of these numbers. I suspect that was... No, I missed that number. Maybe Ian Hutchinson, 19, indeed it was. Somebody help me out with that one. Should have been Nigel Beattie, number 20. It was the Blue Faird machine, so that is likely. In 7th place, we've got Richard Britton. And in 8th place, number 6, Ryan Farquhar, fresh from his success. In 9th place, number 10, Mark Parrott, as another machine comes towards us on the yellow place, 21. Thomas Montano, we gave him a mention. As Andy said, yes, he was in 9th place this year, the highest placed American contender, Thomas Montano. He's safely through here. 1, 2 machines interview. Very quickly indeed, 23-24. Jim Hodson and Ian Armstrong circulated together, but obviously Ian Armstrong ahead in that particular battle on corrected time. Number 3, McGuinness leads by 4 seconds from Locker. Locker 2 seconds up on that battle for 3rd. 25 through now. Mirko Kalsek. That battle for 3rd concerns Adrian Archibald, number 1, and number 5, Bruce Anstey. They're just 1 second ahead of in 5th place jointly. Number 4, Jason Griffiths, and number 15, Paul Hunt, 2 locals together there. 26, 27. Marsden and Chris Palmer. Chris, who's having such a wonderful week. So the news from Glen Helen, lap 1. McGuinness, is he flying again? Is he going to blitz the record? He leads by 4 seconds from Locker. Then in joint 3rd place, Adrian Archibald and Bruce Anstey, 2 seconds down on Locker. It's then 4 and 15 together, and then some numbers, 18, 8, 6, 10, 12, 14 and 17. With that, back to the MCN Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
What better way to finish off a great day's racing than with a great meal? Everyone's welcome at the Paragon Restaurant at the Hilton Hotel and Casino. Choose from the 2-course carvery at just $11.95 or tuck into a succulent steak with a selection of sauces at only $14.95. Tempted? Then make sure of your table by calling the Paragon now on 682755.
Your TT trip isn't complete without a visit to Road and Track Motorcycles, the Ireland's sole Yamaha dealer. Check out the latest Yamaha models, including the exhilarating R1 and R6, the totally redesigned Phaser 600, and the Supermoto XT660X, only at Road and Track, Tynwald Street, Douglas.
Riders continuing to depart here in front of us at the MCN Grandstand commentary point. And we can confirm that number 18, Paul Duckett, will start at the back and no time penalty. So a bit of a relief there, but Paul's obviously got an awful lot of traffic to fight his way through, which he wasn't expecting. An additional non-starter is number 49, Phil Harvey. Number 49, Phil Harvey, is an additional non-starter. Well, we saw and we also heard the Vauxhall set off. Number 51, we hear that Richard Britton, number 8, is touring at Quarry Bends. Richard Britton, number 8, touring at Quarry Bends. We're off to Ramsey Hairpin now to pick up the leaders with Andy.
We have a clear road at the moment, but the crowd are no longer a clear road. It's Adrian Archibald, fires that big Suzuki into sight. Right up the middle of the road, round the hairpin, and away up the hill. You can just hear that bike, sounds beautiful. Slips the clutch ever so slightly, Adrian, to get the thing out the hairpin. It's two riders together. It's McGuinness is in the lead on the road over Locker. So McGuinness has taken Ian Locker on the road. He leads him by 2 or 3 bike lengths as they disappear up towards the waterworks. So we could well have extended the lead. It looks very ominous for the opposition today. John McGuinness is really on it. A 4-second lead at Glen Helen. What is it here? We'll soon find out. But I can tell you John McGuinness leads Ian Locker on the road. As into sight comes Jason Griffiths. Very smooth, very tidy for Jason. No clutch slip there. Drives the big Yamaha up the hill. And here comes Anstey. Yes, it's Bruce Anstey. Anstey looks very quick. Very quick, has the bike heeled right over Bruce Anstey, keeps the bike right on the inside, almost touches his knee on the small wall on the inside of the Ramsey hairpin, trying to use as little road as possible, obviously, to get the least distance travelled, in contrast to Ian Locker, of course, who takes a big, wide, fast line. But they usually come in together and go out much the same, so there doesn't seem to be a perfect line here. I think it's down to each rider's taste. But you can see the difference in these bikes from the bikes this morning. Much more aggressive, much quicker coming up the hill from the Stella Maris section, using much more of the road as well. The big bikes are probably, some 180 horsepower, I do believe, out of some of these big bikes, so it's a lot to handle. We have a clear road still at the moment, and we also have a 9-second lead for McGuinness over Archibald. And Ryan Farker comes into view and round the hairpin. Tight line for Ryan. That bike sounds beautiful as well. I can go back to the times, and it's John McGuinness, number 3, leading this race aboard his Yamaha by some 9 seconds from Adrian Archibald aboard the Taz Suzuki, number 1 and 3. 4 riders come into sight together. It's 8, 10, 7 and 9, as quick as that. Not a bike length between them. What a sight that will be going over the mountain. 8 Richard Britton. 8 Richard Britton ahead of number 10. It's Mark Parrott. Number 7, Sean Harris. Oh! Martin, you guess who it is? It's Martin Finnegan. Who else? There's a great big black line as Martin Finnegan came through, but we also had Chris Heath through. And now number 11. Number 11 is Nigel Davies. He came through. Martin Finnegan, though, as always, backs this thing in motocross style. Here comes Big H. Very fast approach for Big H. Number 15. I see he's down and followed closely by Gary Carswell. So he's taken Gary on the road, and H has pulled out probably 20, 30 yards there on Gary Carswell as well. I noticed in the programme that Paul Hunt's down on 1,000 Suzuki. Well, in the Formula 1 race, he was on a 750 Suzuki. So if we can get that confirmed, I'd be interested to know which he's riding, because, of course, he did come home as the first 750 in the Formula 1 race. So going back to the timing now, we can confirm, which we did before. John McGuinness holds a 9-second advantage over Adrian Archibald as into view comes number 17, Gordon Blackley. And I can confirm that this time Big H, Paul Hunt, is on 1,000 Suzuki. John McGuinness holds a 9-second lead from Adrian Archibald, who holds a 2-second lead from Ian Locker. As into view comes number 16, which is John Barton. Ian Locker in turn holds a 1-second lead over over Bruce Anstey and Jason Griffiths, who cannot be separated. The Yamaha and Suzuki men cannot be separated. So joint fourth, Bruce Anstey and Griffiths. It makes 6th place now, 5 seconds down, Paul Hunt, and 7th, Martin Finnegan. some 12 seconds down on Paul Hunt. Number 19 going through there. That's Ian Hutchinson on the Suzuki, followed fairly closely by number 20, Nigel Beattie, the local man from Laxey, aboard his 1000, it says here, Rocket Yamaha, and it certainly rockets up the hill at an amazing rate of knots. In 7th place we had Martin Finnegan, just 12 seconds down on Paul Hunt, and in 8th place it's Gary Carswell, just 1 second down on Finnegan, with 9th Mark Parrott, 1 second down on Gary Carswell. 10th is number 17 Gordon Blackley. Number 21 and 24 come into sight in close company, flying around the hairpin. 21 is Thomas Montano, the American. 24 is Ian Armstrong. Ian Armstrong's already had a couple of good rides this week. Number 23, Jim Hodgson. So you'd expect Ian Armstrong to be overtaking somewhere over the mountain section where Thomas Montano. So we'll just update before we hand you back. I can say on the first lap here, it's John McGuinness, Yamaha, holding a 9-second lead over Adrian Archibald, Suzuki, who has a 2-second lead over Ian Locker, who in turn holds a 1-second lead over Jason Griffiths and Bruce Anstey. Then comes 15, some 5 seconds down, 12, 14, 10 and 17. And with that, it's back to the MCN Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
There's more to racing than speed. It's about control. The faster you go, the more control you need. When you get your bike out, leave racing to the pros. Slow down on corners. A taste for speed could leave you tasting the tarmac. Remember, slow down. Roads bite back.
That work, then stick to the right as you hit Glentrammon. On through Milltown, mind the curve. Top gear across Glen Alden. Flat out to Schoolhouse.
One track mind, you can't lose with Bennett's. Bennett's, nothing but bike insurance. Visit bennetts.co.uk.
Well, welcome back from Charlie Lambert at MCN Grandstand. The lights are on now for 3, 2 and 1. Quickly, just to give you the news that Ryan Farquhar is not on the Suzuki. The pit crew have told us he is in fact on the Kawasaki on the ZX-10. So Ryan Farquhar is riding the Kawasaki today, having already taken victory with Kawasaki this morning in the Proddy 600. So John McGuinness was the leader on the road at Ramsey, and we'll see if he's still the leader on the road when he passes us here at the grandstand. Effectively, he doubled his lead on the dash between Glen Helen and the Ramsey hairpin. And here comes the first man, and in fact it's Adrian Archibald who's first across. So it's Adrian Archibald who is first across here, and McGuinness, he's not ahead on the road, he is in second place. He's got ahead of Locker. Here he comes now, and there's Locker right behind him, and there's Scream in front of us here at the grandstand, and disappear from view away to our left. So McGuinness is heading up Ian Locker, and 170 miles an hour is the speed on the digital readout on the far side. And Norman Quayle reckons that John McGuinness now has an 11-second advantage over Ian Locker. An 11-second advantage. There goes Jason Griffiths. 165.9 miles an hour, the speed there. So the two Yamahas are through. So just to look at the top three, there goes Anstey. Anstey's through now. Bruce Anstey on the Taz Suzuki, 1 TT win this week, and gunning for another one in Suzuki colours this afternoon. So John McGuinness with an 11-second lead over number 2, Ian Locker, here at the grandstand at the end of lap 1. And Locker with a 0.8, so that's virtually a 1-second advantage over Adrian Archibald, who's in 3rd place. Archibald with a 5 seconds lead over in 4th place Jason Griffiths, and Griffiths with a 1-second lead over number 5 Bruce Anstey. But of course Paul Hunt has been going like a fire engine out there, hasn't he? Blue lights flashing, the full business, bells ringing, and we wait to see how he's getting on when he comes through. Big H having started off at number 15 on the road. We'll take a short break.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer. Are you scared of the rain, or are you a real biker who rides in any weather? If you are, you'll need Tough Map, the map that lasts. It's 100% waterproof and available in UK, Europe and London Street Atlas. Buy them on the Seacat, Paul Deadman Motorcycles in Ramsey or at toughmap.com. Tough Map, the map that lasts.
Great clothing, great choice, great value. Where? Behind the grandstand. There's a fabulous selection of quality TT merchandise for the whole family. Make this a TT to remember and buy your official gear from Motorsport Merchandise or visit ttmerchandise.com.
Harris has just rocketed past us on the Kawasaki as they continue to finish lap 1. And there goes Paul Hunt, number 15, on the 1000cc Kringle Suzuki. Paul Hunt, head down, means business, and followed across the line in front of us by 11 and 14. Nigel Davis and Gary Carswell. Gary Carswell having a decent ride as well in the senior TT here this afternoon around the mountain circuit. So just updating the situation then, I think we got as far as 5th place, which is Bruce Anstey, and he retains 5th place. He's 12 seconds ahead of Paul Hunt, who is 6th. Paul Hunt is 18 seconds ahead of the man in 7th place. That's number 10, Mark Parrott. And Mark Parrott is 0.3 seconds ahead of number 14, Gary Carswell. So not much to split those two, as in front of us goes number 17, that's Gordon Blackley on the Honda. So to complete the top 10, in 10th place at the moment is number 17, Gordon Blackley. Gordon Blackley, 8 seconds behind Martin Finnegan. So that's the top 10 then, top of the leaderboard at the end of lap 1. This is a 4-lap race, the senior TT, 4 laps of the mountain course, and that's a distance of just under 151 miles. The lap speed for the leader, John McGuinness, 127.19 miles an hour. That's just outside David Jeffrey's record, and the lap time, 17 minutes 47.9 seconds. We'll cross now to Motorcycle News, Glen Helen and Maurice Maudsley.
Well, Charlie, that's just outside, as you say, in these conditions, which are obviously considerably better than those that were here at the first race. But here's the first man on the road, that's Archibald, as expected. Then McGuinness, then Locker. That reflects roughly the distances between them on the road, fairly similar, and I would say that McGuinness has now got Adrian Archibald in his sights in terms of leading on the road. The tactic is the same. He's blasted that first lap. Will he continue? 17:47, I think, or thereabouts for that opening lap from a standing start, and still only 0.1 of a second, I think, outside, or is it 10 hundredths, 10 or 10 somethings, 127.19 as opposed to 127.29 for DJ's lap record from 2002. 13 seconds his lead now. There's Anstey. 13 seconds the advantage, a further 2 seconds over number 2 Locker. Locker in turn 2 seconds up on Archibald as those differences start to materialise. But well, John McGuinness going for that 4th of the week, and a fantastic performance he's put up all week long. He's had already 3 firsts, a second and a third, looking to add to that, looking to equal Phil McCann's record of 4 in a week, and he's got a 13-second advantage to do so. In second place, number 2 Locker. In third place, number 1 Archibald. We should by now, I would have thought, have had Griffiths, but we haven't seen him. So we're told he might well have retired at Appledene, so don't panic in terms of Griffiths. Obviously a disappointment, but we're told it could well be a retirement at Appledene, not yet confirmed. That is now confirmed. That's Jason Griffiths, rider, perfectly okay, a retirement at Appledene. It's been, well, an interesting week for Jason. He's hit the podium a couple of times and also had some problems, but a retirement for local man Jason Griffiths at Appledene. That will leave Bruce Anstey clear in that 4th place, 8 seconds down on Archibald. Well, there's that familiar colours of the McAdoo Kawasaki in the hands of Ryan Farquhar, this morning's winner. Obviously not quite on the pace at the moment, because that is with McGuinness. 13 seconds his advantage over Locker. Locker in turn 2 seconds up on number 1 Archibald. Adrian Archibald not had a good week at all, hoping, I should imagine, for at least a podium today. 10 and 9 together as they were on the last lap. Mark this heath, this 4-lap senior. In fact, reduced from 6 laps, but then it was last year due to weather. 12, Martin Finnegan. Different approach from Big H, but he's through. 15, 7, and 8. Sean Harris, Richard Britton, who obviously had some problems on that first lap and has dropped down a bit, but seems to be going okay at the moment. Another machine to view, and I'm going to pick that up. Could be Gary Carson, I think, number 14, indeed it was. He's ahead of Nigel Davis. Nigel ran quite well this week, but without actually setting the place alight. So let's just review that. Number 3, McGuinness, in this 4-lap senior, leads by 13 seconds. As I was saying, last year the race was reduced through weather, was also a 4-lap race, and I believe there have been 2 other 4-lap senior races in the history of this event. This year reduced as a matter of strategy. Last year reduced due to weather conditions, and it was late into the afternoon before we actually got that underway last year. But this year they've gone on time. There's Gordon Blackley, number 17. So the departure of Jason Griffiths also means that Paul Hunt moves up a slot into 5th place, 14 seconds down on Bruce Anstey. So number 15, Paul Hunt, is in 5th place now, following the departure of Jason Griffiths. But it's number 3, McGuinness, who leads by 13 seconds from Locker. Locker in turn a 2-second advantage over Adrian Archibald. Adrian Archibald then in that 3rd place, 8 seconds up on the 4th place man. 16, John Barton through, another of the locals, and he's been getting the signals out there at Crosby, encouraging him to go Barty go, because of course it's from there that John Barton comes. Keen on the football out there too. That was Ian Hutchinson. So the news from Glen Helen lap 2 with pit stops at the end of this. An increased advantage for McGuinness. 13 seconds he leads Locker. Locker 2 seconds ahead of Adrian Archibald. Then 5, 15, 12, 14, 10, 17. With that, back to the MCN grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Which venue has the greatest live music lineup this TT, plus the most exotic shows? The answer's simple, the venue. And with free entry before 10, you know you simply need to get in for the best party night around. The venue, Central Prom Douglas, where great music and good times are all part of the TT experience.
Your TT trip isn't complete without a visit to Road and Track Motorcycles, the island's sole Yamaha dealer. Check out the latest Yamaha models, including the exhilarating R1 and R6, the totally redesigned Phaser 600, and the Supermoto XT660X, only at Road and Track, Tynwald Street, Douglas.
Selon les chronos vérifiés de Glen Helen, en tête le numéro 3 John McGuinness, 13 secondes d'avance sur le numéro 2 Ian Locker. Lui, 2 secondes d'avance sur le numéro 1 Adrian Archibald. Heike.
Ja, danke Mavis. Was für ein Rennen. Hält John McGuinness hier etwa noch Sensationen für uns in der Hinterhand? Er liegt nur 0,9 Sekunden unter dem Rekord von David Jeffries. 0,9 Sekunden. Er liegt in Führung in Glen Helen mit 13 Sekunden Vorsprung vor Ian Locker. Der wiederum mit 2 Sekunden Vorsprung vor Archibald. Zurück an Charlie.
Well, it looks like John McGuinness is doing it again, doesn't it? If he carries on like this, it'll be his 4th TT win in the space of the week, and that'll tie Philip McCallan with the all-time record 4 TTs in one festival. Walter Cordoba is off at Braddon, but he's okay. Now to motorcycle news, Ramsey Hairpin and Andy.
Yes, we await the first rider through, who we expect to be Adrian Archibald, although I'm sure John McGuinness will be right on his tail. They can't be far away, because I think we just heard the TV helicopter overhead. So as the spectators crane their heads and we hear the sound, yes, it's Adrian Archibald with John McGuinness on his tail. Adrian Archibald, beautiful and smooth, and John McGuinness, what, probably a second at the maximum behind him. So like 25 yards, and he's Ian Locker. Very fast, wide approach, very fast. And in fact, Ian's taken a new line through the hairpin here. I can tell he's taken a tighter line. No damp patch in the middle of the road today. Perhaps that's the reason. He said he takes a wide line to avoid the damp patch. Today there isn't a damp patch, so maybe he's changed his line accordingly. But McGuinness certainly had Adrian Archibald right in his sights. And given that he's already passed Ian Locker, John McGuinness must know this race is his for the taking. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and the finish line, but certainly McGuinness has this race well under control, and it's a fantastic sight to see. That'll be great going over the mountain. Spectators at the Craig looking up as when those bikes fly around the corner at Crates and into sight. That'll be some sight indeed, as it is here at the hairpin. No desperate antics that time from any of the first three. Here comes Bruce Anstey into sight. Bruce always fast, always smooth. Most of these guys have a line they stick to lap after lap after lap, and it's like clockwork with them. Absolutely superb. And I can tell you now that John McGuinness has extended his lead, and number 3 Yamaha holds an 18-second advantage over Adrian Archibald, number 1 on the Taz Suzuki, who in turn holds just 1 second advantage over Ian Locker, who's in 3rd place aboard the Honda. And Ian Locker in turn holds a 19-second advantage over Bruce Anstey on the 2nd Taz Suzuki. So that's your first 4 timings here at Ramsey Hairpin on the 2nd lap. Of course, at the end of this lap, we've got pit stops coming into play, and all sorts of things can go wrong on pit stops. The guys have to make sure, the pit crews have to make sure they get the full amount of fuel in, because these bikes are all very marginal on fuel capacity. Certainly in the production race, we saw that 1 or 2 fell foul of the fact that the bikes couldn't do 2 laps fully on a tank of fuel. Obviously, they've got extended tanks for the senior, but even so, fuel is a major concern, and if you just take that filler out 1 second early, that could be the difference between making it to the finish line and not. And if you leave it in too long, you could drop your rider a place by leaving it too long in the pits. Also going to come into play is tyre changes. Eddie Roberts, the Pirelli guru, says they don't actually need to change the tyres, but they've got enough time, so they change them just for safety and for fresh rubber. As Ryan Farquhar comes into view, a bit of a slow approach from Ryan, certainly nowhere near as aggressive as on his 600 production bike down here. As 2 riders come into view very hard. Oh, nice twitch there from Chris Heath, closely followed. Chris Heath, number 9, closely followed by Mark Parrott, number 10. The Honda chased by the Yamaha. Chris Heath had it all twitching on the approach, and obviously he can hear Mark Parrott in his exhaust pipes. And Martin Finning, oh, he's got it sideways, the front's going, the back's going. He had everything going there. I think he had it under control. Maybe he didn't that time, but he's Big H. Big H has caught a lot of time up on Martin Finnegan. Paul Hunt disappears up the hill. Maybe it was a mistake in the Formula 1 race to run the 750 instead of the 1000. Who knows? But he did win the prize for the first 750 home. And Richard Britton comes into sight. Richard Britton, number 8, of course, he's lost a lot of time. Some sort of problem. I can't remember if I heard he had a problem earlier on. Gary Carswell going around, number 14. Again, a nice smooth ride by Gary Carswell. Very neat, tidy, nice looking machine. As in comes Sean Harris, number 7, another down on time. I don't think these big Kawasaki's are quite the thing here yet. Nigel Davies, number 11, going through. The big ZX10 obviously doing the business in British Superbike in Scott Smart and Glenn Richards' hands, but maybe needs a little bit more sorting out for the TT circuit, because it's so bumpy, so variable. Obviously you need to get these bikes set up absolutely perfectly, because if there's just the slightest thing on the handling, something you're just not happy with, it not only does it prevent you from going full speed, but it affects your concentration. Number 17 there, Gordon Blackley, he's well up aboard the Honda. It affects your concentration, as I was saying there, if you have a handling problem. And that can make an ocean of difference. You've actually got to focus 100% total on this circuit to make the best of it. Going back to the leaderboard then, we have John McGuinness on the Yamaha, number 3, 18 seconds in front of Adrian Archibald, Taz Suzuki, number 1 in 2nd place. In 3rd place, number 2, Ian Locker, just 1 second down on Adrian Archibald. Ian Locker, of course, on the Honda. In 4th place, Bruce Anstey, number 5, some 19 seconds down on Locker. Anstey on the Taz Suzuki. In 5th place, local man, fireman, Paul Hunt, number 15, on his big Suzuki. He's just 14 seconds down on Anstey as number 16, John Barton, goes through. In 6th place, Martin Finnegan, the ex-motocrosser, number 12, and he's 4 seconds down on Paul Hunt. Number 19 comes into view in Hutchinson. Where do we get to? Mark Parrott. We had through 7th place Mark Parrott, 4 seconds down on Finnegan. Number 8 number 14 in 8th place Gary Carswell, 2 seconds down on Parrott, and Chris Heath, number 9, 8 seconds down on Carswell in 9th. And with that, it's back to the Motorcycle News Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Motorcycle News, the world's biggest motorcycling publication, has just got bigger. With helpful hints and tips on how to buy and sell bikes, up-to-date news, reviews and sport, including all the action from the 2004 Isle of Man TT. Motorcycle News, on sale every Wednesday.
Great clothing, great choice, great value. Where? Behind the grandstand. There's a fabulous selection of quality TT merchandise for the whole family. Make this a TT to remember and buy your official gear from Motorsport Merchandise or visit ttmerchandise.com.
The lights are on for Archibald, McGuinness and Locker at Cronk Nimona. There are only two people sitting pretty around the TT circuit this afternoon. One is John McGuinness, the other is Maurice Maudsley, because the roast beef sarnies have arrived at Glen Helen. And we wait for the pit stops. We've just got a back marker coming into pit lane at the moment, so he's going to have to get out of the way pretty sharpish because the front men are going to be coming in, and one of the marshals up there just skips onto the track to pick up something, a bit of debris or something that might have been left there, and the klaxons are going just to warn the approach of the leading riders. And coming into the stop box is John McGuinness. John McGuinness is now first on the road into the stop box. Close behind him is Adrian Archibald. Out comes McGuinness, Archibald as well on the Taz Suzuki. We go down to Chris Kinley.
Yes, thank you very much for that, John. Getting a new back tyre into the bike, of course. An 18-second lead at Ramsey's being relayed that information by Jim Moody now. So in the time it's taken me to tell you that, he's got the rear spindle out and he's also got the chain back on, and now he's just about to put the rear spindle back in as quick as that. Let's have a little wander down to Ian Locker. He's also getting a new tyre in as well, as is Adrian Archibald. So all the three men in so far, McGuinness, Locker and Archibald, all getting tyres as well. John just sitting nice and calm on the bike. 18-second lead, but it is close between Archibald and Locker. Adrian, it struggles to fire, and there it goes away. Archibald's away, bit of fuel. Now then, a little bit of fuel all over the front of John's bike there as well, so that might go down to where he doesn't want it to go down. So it is, of course, McGuinness out, also Archibald out, and will Ian's bike pull? Come on, Ian's bike. It's not firing. Locker's CBR just fires now, so maybe a little bit of time lost there. We'll get that confirmed in a moment by Tim O'Hanlon. So we're just waiting for the next rider to come through, who should be Bruce Anstey. It is. Bruce comes in on his Taz Suzuki. He's about a third of the way down here and stops the bike nice and steady in his pits, making sure nobody else comes into the stop box before I go across and get the information. Bruce having a drink. You hear the ratchet going there again, so the rear spindle out. The chain comes out. About 2 or 3 people work around Bruce's bike, so that's the rear wheel out already. Brand new tyre in. Into the back already, gets it in onto the brake caliper, gets the chain on as quick as that. He's done that, and there's the rear spindle in, and you'll hear the ratchet going any second now. So there you go, that's as quick as that. They've got the rear wheel out changed, and they've nearly finished the refueling as well. We'll go over to Tim in just a second and get you some time as soon as Bruce Anstey goes. So pretty slick pit stop there. Ian Locker having a couple of problems though, and it wouldn't fire up straight away, and there goes Bruce away now into the background. Tim, are we okay for times for the moment?
Yes, McGuinness has got a 16-second lead over Archibald now, because Locker had that slow pit stop, and Locker is a further 7 seconds behind Archibald, and 5 Anstey is 26 seconds. That was a slow pit stop again for Anstey.
Okay, so another slow pit stop for Anstey, so we should be waiting next, I think maybe 4. I think Ryan won't be far away now, actually, Ryan Farquhar. So McGuinness, 16-second lead after the pit stop. We'll be hearing the hooter going any second now. Back to you, Charlie, for some lap times.
Well, McGuinness lost 5 seconds there, Chris, I can tell you, in the pit stop. He was 21 seconds ahead of Archibald when he came in, and as Tim just said, 16 ahead when he went out. Of course, we're going to be waiting for Paul Hunt to come in. We have a message for Ken Sprayson to go to the paddock. Would Ken Sprayson please go to the paddock? Waiting for Hunt. We've got the lap times from the end of lap 2. John McGuinness, 17 minutes 50.7 seconds. 17 minutes 50.7 seconds. 126.85 miles an hour. Back down to Chris.
Is Big H into the stop box alongside Martin Finnegan. Ryan's just come in. Ryan Farquhar's just come in and shook his head. Martin goes round the outside of Big H, and Ryan just gives a shake of the head. I think he might be getting off it, actually. He is. Mark Parrott is also in, and also Chris Heath at the moment. Big H getting the information from the Kringle boys and getting the fuel in there, and Ryan's bike is getting fueled up, but I don't know, he's looking at his hand, so maybe his hand is just giving him a bit too much stick. No, okay, one of his mechanics, and there you go, listen to that. That's Mark Parrott's Fireblade firing up there. Gary Carswell into the stop box alongside Richard Britton. Richard gets the okay to go. Richard not having the best of races, but can Big H keep it going here? Currently lying fifth at the moment. Can Big H keep it going for local hopes? And oh, somebody stopped down the bottom there. Who is it? He's not running at all. Mark Parrott. Mark Parrott can't get his machine going. The R1 struggling to fire. Big H just about to go. Let's get you the audio of that as Nigel Davis comes in. That's Big H firing away. He's caught Parrott up on the road now, and there's Nigel Davis into his stop box. Can we adjust ball hunting at all, Tim?
Yes, he's 15 seconds behind Anstey in fifth place.
So Big H 15 seconds behind Anstey in fifth place, and Ryan Farquhar is a retirement. Charlie.
Well, dramatic stuff, and that really was a desperate delay as well for Mark Parrott. He was in seventh place when they passed Andy at MCN Ramsey hairpin, but he will certainly have lost a serious amount of time there. Just couldn't get the bike going. One of the pit crew members from another team came out to give him a shove, and then his own pit crew came scampering down pit lane after him, and just as they got there, the bike eventually did fire, and away went Mark Parrott. So we're now on lap 3 of this 4-lap race. Seamus Green, number 48, is a retirement. I mentioned earlier on that Walter Cordoba was off at Braddon. He has been taken to hospital, but he's okay. Been taken to hospital for a checkup. And Jason Griffiths retired earlier on at Appledene at the start of lap 2. Chris is sending word up from down below. There's a possible retirement from Sean Harris. We'll confirm that for you. But now we're going to MCN Glen Helen and Morris.
Thank you, Charlie. Perfect timing. Here is the first man on the road, number 1, Adrian Archibald. He's safely through here, lap 3. But the man who's flying's McGuinness. This is not him because, of course, they're now getting mixed up amongst the later runners. We've already had numbers 86 and 89 through Scott Stewart, certainly, and David Paradis. But here's a quicker approach. That's Locker, number 2. And now another one, the race leader, number 3, McGuinness. Quite as quick as he has been, and he looks over his shoulder as he went away from us. Was that misfiring? Nah, surely couldn't be. He looked over his shoulder. Didn't seem quite as quick here as he has been on previous laps, but he's safely through. But the orders Archibald, Locker, McGuinness. I thought McGuinness got ahead of Locker out of the pits, and if that is the case, then McGuinness has got some problems, and he has on the last race of the day. He's dropped time. We have a new race leader. It's Archibald. There's obviously a problem for McGuinness, and once again we can say drama indeed. It's a 7-second advantage for Adrian Archibald over number 3 John McGuinness. Lockett is still in third place, but only 3 seconds now separate him from John McGuinness. There's Anstey. Well, I thought he got out ahead of Locker. Quite surprising to see Ian Lockyer here before him on the road. Well, he's been reported touring at Sarah's. That was just after he'd looked behind. It sounded as he went away from us as though there was a problem. So it's not going to be 4. It's definitely not going to be 4. It's now Adrian Archibald who leads, last year's winner, bidding to make it a double, having won this race last year in those extraordinary circumstances. Well, fate has dealt a hand. Adrian Archibald leads by 7 seconds from McGuinness, but reported as touring. That'll move Locker up into second place. He's now in third place as they left Huz 3 seconds down on McGuinness, but 23 seconds ahead of Bruce Anstey. We await the arrival of number 15, Paul Hunt, but new race leader at Glen Helen. McGuinness obviously hit problems before they arrived with us. Reported now as touring at Sarah's. He probably toured up the way to the Cronkabody Straight, and his race appears to be run. Nonetheless, he's had an excellent week, but not going to emulate, and Phil McCallan still remains, or will still remain, the only one to have won 4 races in a week. Well, get our breath back. Adrian Archibald, new race leader by 7 seconds. Now, that margin over Ian Locker is about 10 seconds, so that's the difference we're going to have to be looking for at Ramsey. This will, of course, have the effect of moving Paul Hunt up a slot as well. Fantastic race, nonetheless. Pity for John McGuinness, having blitzed the lap 1:27.19 on his opening lap, 1:26.85 including his slowing down. For 9, Chris Heath. Of course, all these later runners will now get moved up a slot and looking for better positions. And we can slot some of those in eventually, but we await the arrival of number 15, Paul Hunt. Yes, Charlie, the beef sandwiches have been consumed. We'll have to wait till the next lap for the jam and cream donuts that have also been provided as Big H comes through. So we can get his time slotted in a moment. And thanks to this, just down to Chris for the moment.
Yeah, Jim Hodson has just pushed in, and Jim looks actually all in. Philip Stewart has also pushed in as well, out of petrol. But let's go find out exactly, if we can, just find out exactly how far Jim has pushed in from. And let's go and ask him. Let's get the info from Jim. Let him get a drink in. My word. Oh, he looks absolutely all in here. He looks absolutely stuffed. 38 into the stop box. Jim, where did he push in from, Jim?
It started from Craig de Bar. Had to start paddling and wobbling from Craig.
Absolutely knackered, mate. Okay, you had a long push in there. Okay, Morris.
Thanks, yes, as we, I think that was Richard Britt going through there, but certainly we've had through 12 Martin Finnegan, 14 Gary Carswell, a number of retirements, which means that this leaderboard's going to get shuffled virtually continuously, and we're still only into, well, just the start, effectively, of lap 3, another lap and 3/4 to go, but yes, we can put number 15, Paul Hunt, remember, into 5th position here, but remember that doesn't include the departure of McGuinness. 11, Nigel Davis, but for sake of correctness, as they left here, number 15 Paul Hunt is actually 25 seconds behind number 5 Bruce Anstey. So the news here is that we have a new race leader, Adrian Archibald. As they left here, he was 7 seconds up on McGuinness, who will be a retirement, and then in 3rd place Locker, followed by number 5 Anstey, number 15 then Hunt, then 14, 9 and 12. With that, back to the Motorcycle News Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Une virée en moto, ne faites pas monter les enjeux. Ne prenez pas de risque en doublant ou en allant du mauvais côté de la chaussée. Vous feriez aussi bien de jouer à la roulette russe. C'est votre vie que vous mettez en jeu, ou même celle d'un autre. Ralentissez, ou la route se vengera.
Great clothing, great choice, great value. Where? Behind the grandstand. There's a fabulous selection of quality TT merchandise for the whole family. Make this a TT to remember and buy your official gear from Motorsport Merchandise or visit ttmerchandise.com.
Encore une fois de Glen Helen en tête, le numéro 1, Adrian Archibald. 7 secondes d'avance sur le numéro 3, John McGuinness, qui maintenant roule lentement avant l'abondance certain. Il avait 3 secondes d'avance sur le numéro 2, Ian Locker. Heike.
Ja, also neueste Meldung hier. Glen Helen, eine neue Führung. Nummer 1, Archibald, hat einen 7-sekündigen Vorsprung auf John McGuinness Nummer 3. Der wiederum war mit 3 Sekunden Vorsprung auf Nummer 2 angekommen, Ian Locker. Aber letzte Neuigkeiten, John McGuinness wurde bei Sarah's Cottage als in Schwierigkeiten und als Touring gemeldet. Warten wir ab. Charlie.
Heike, thank you very much indeed. So Adrian Archibald then in the lead, and he should have something like a 10-second lead over Ian Locker. John McGuinness has retired. John McGuinness has retired at Kurt Michael, and it is a clutch problem. We're now going to Motorcycle News, Ramsey Hairpin and Andy.
Yeah, we await Adrian Archibald coming into sight just on cue. Look at that. Beautiful approach, really fast, really wide. And wide on the exit is Adrian. Doesn't slip the clutch this time. Smooth, the bike sounds lovely, and he's away up the hill to the waterworks. You can just see as they bank to the right, as they go out of our vision, there's 2 right-handers on the approach to the left-right, or left double right of waterworks. You can just see these big bikes, the power and the back wheel hanging on for Grimdeath, trying to keep grip as they go up the hill. As number 89, one of the Land Riders, comes into view. We've had some great action here. Oh, we have a tourer. It's not. It is. It is, yeah. Ian Locker has come to a halt in front of us, or not quite in front of us. So drama indeed. Many failures today. The 2 factory Yamahas of Griffiths and McGuinness already out, and Ian Locker, he came into sight and slowed. I couldn't. Oh, he's banging the tank. What's wrong with it? We obviously don't know. I guess we'll get Ian up here eventually. But I can tell you, Ian Locker is out of this race. He's pushing the bike to the side and parking the big Honda. Not a happy bunny at all. Banging the tank. Really angry. What's gone wrong? Who knows? Well, drama indeed. So that leaves Adrian Archibald clear ahead. In fact, it's a Taz Suzuki 1-2 now, because Bruce Anstey will slot into second place aboard the other Taz Suzuki. In fact, here he comes. Bruce Anstey's just past one of the slow riders. Straight inside, round the hairpin, nice and smooth. Bruce looks very, I wouldn't say casual, because you can't lap the Isleman TT course at 125 mile an hour plus and be casual, but he looks like he's just taking it steady, taking no chances. He's doing well. He's in second place. Who knows? Another problem could befall Adrian Archibald yet. The look of the Irish hasn't been too good so far this week, although Ryan Farquhar obviously broke the spell just now. We're going to try and find out off Ian what exactly the problem was. In fact, if we can, we maybe even get in the box with us as we wait for some more riders to come through. But we have had excitement all the way through, and I can tell you that Adrian Archibald now holds a 38-second advantage. So number one on the Taz Suzuki, Adrian Archibald holds a 38-second advantage over Bruce Anstey, number 5, also aboard a Taz Suzuki. So it's starting the order. In fact, that'll bring Paul Hunt up into third. Well, what a thing that would be if Paul Hunt could get a rostrum finish. He'd be over the moon. And, of course, would every other Manxman, because that'd be a Manx podium, which would be great. We've got some time to wait before Paul comes into sight. There's several other riders who'll probably be ahead of him on the road. But it's certainly opened the thing out. And it's unbelievable to think that both factory Yamahas have gone out. The Honda of Locke have gone out. Ryan Farquhar appears to have retired in the pits. It's an amazing rate of attrition, because so far this TT week we've had very, very few retirements, certainly of the top runners, very few indeed. But as I was saying, the action down the field has been tremendous. We had Andy Wallace came diving up the inside of John Donnan, the Suzuki inside the Yamaha, nearly T-boned him off at the hairpin. They both went round together. John Donnan got back in front, then turned around and waved him through, as in comes number 9, Chris Heath. Chris Heath's having all snaking on the brakes coming in, so maybe he's got a pit board to say some of these boys are out and fancies a sniff of a rostrum himself. So Chris Heath certainly got the hammer down and trying very hard aboard his 1000cc Honda. Chris probably going to be the first Honda home. 2 more come into view, and it's Big H, Paul Hunt, number 15, ahead of number 10 on the road, Mark Parrott. It's very smooth. Paul looks round just to check where Mark Parrott is. He knows he's there. He can hear the sound. In fact, it looked as though Parrott tried to go under him. Oh, man, Finnegan, broadsides. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know what Ian Locker made of that, but that was brilliant. He just slid completely in, right to the apex just about before he straightened it up. I know he's doing it on purpose. He's a terrible lad. What's he doing to my heart rate? I don't know. On the big round tower Yamaha. And Gary Carswell comes around the hairpin. Very fast for Gary. He had everything on the deck there. His knee, the footrest, the lot. He was really going for it. So Gary Carswell flying there. I'm sure these boys have been getting pit signals, and they may have seen 1 or 2 bikes parked up around the circuit and obviously think to themselves, yeah, I'm in with a really good chance today. I could get on the rostrum, because it's pretty close down the field. We'll just tell you that Paul Hunt now trail as Richard Britton comes into view, number 8. Richard obviously got some problems to be so far down the field that Paul Hunt now holding 3rd place, of course, number 15, is just 30 seconds behind Bruce Anstey. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible for Paul to move up even further. In 4th place, we have Gary Carswell, number 14, and he's 40 seconds behind Paul Hunt. In 5th place, it is Chris Heath, number 9, just 1 second behind Gary Carswell. As number 11, Cap Davies rounds the hairpin, and he's closely followed by Gordon Blackley, number 17. So Gordon may well be in the frame, because by the time we deduct the starting time. But before we hand back, I will just review. Adrian Archibald, Taz Suzuki, holds a 30-second advantage over Bruce Anstey on a Taz Suzuki. 30 seconds ahead of Paul Hunt in 3rd, who is 40 seconds ahead of Gary Carswell in 4th. Chris Heath 1 second down in 5th. Martin Finnegan 6th, 1 second down. And with that, back to the MCN Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Everyone knows that the all-new Yamaha R1 is this year's must-have bike. But with fantastic insurance deals through Yamaha Insurance Services on award-winning R6 and Phaser 600, there's never been a better time to visit your local Yamaha dealer. Log on to yamaha-motor.co.uk for more details.
Your TT trip isn't complete without a visit to Road and Track Motorcycles, the Ireland's sole Yamaha dealer. Check out the latest Yamaha models, including the exhilarating R1 and R6, the totally redesigned Phaser 600, and the Supermoto XT660X, only at Road and Track, Tynwald Street, Douglas.
Welcome back to the grandstand. Seamus Green, number 48, stopped at Kate's Cottage with hand and arm injuries. He's on his way to hospital, but otherwise okay. Sean Harris retired at the pits at the end of, I think it was the end of lap 2, after the pit stop. But the light is on now for Adrian Archibald at Cronknymona, the man who stormed into the lead 38 seconds ahead. And here he comes. And there goes Adrian Archibald, 162.7 miles an hour on the digital readout as he rockets away and begins the descent now of Bray Hill, heading down to Quarterbridge, and then the slow right-hander that'll take him on the charge through to Braddon and away for the final lap of the Senior TT 2004. Adrian Archibald, 38 seconds ahead of Bruce Anstey, his teammate in the Taz Suzuki colours when they left Andy at MCN Ramsey Hairpin. So we'll see if he's managed to extend that lead any further. But a bit further down, it's a Manx hat-trick with Paul Hunt in 3rd place, Gary Carswell 4th, and Chris Heath in 5th place. So the three legs of man that's certainly doing the business out there this afternoon. Looking at some of the details from further back, just while we wait for the next riders to come through, with the light on for Bruce Anstey at Cronknymona. Number 29, that's Guy Martins, had a good ride. He was up to 10th at the end of lap 2. And Andy Wallace, number 36, is so far the best of the 750s. He was up to 13th place overall, the best of the 750s. Separate prizes for the first of the 750s, also the first of the 250s to get in, and the first on a junior 600 machine. As here comes Anstey. And he roars past us here in the grandstand and whips past a rider who was just coming out of the pits after the second lap pit stop. But Anstey, the Kiwi, is away and he's started his final lap. We'll get a readout on the scores. So we wait to see who's going to come through next. And on the far side, well, I think these two Suzuki boys have got a big lead because no other lights are on as yet. So Archibald went through and Anstey went through just then. And just looking at the computer readout, we'll give you those details in just a second, but it looks to me like a 40.3 lead. A 40.3 lead for Archibald over Anstey. That's the 1 and 2. We'll take a break.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
That work, then stick to the right as you hit Glentrammon. On through Milntown, mind the curve. Top gear across Glen Alden. Flat out to Schoolhouse.
One track mind, you can't lose with Bennett's. Bennett's, nothing but bike insurance. Visit bennetts.co.uk.
The light is on for number 9, Chris Heath at Cronknymona. He's having a good ride as well. And so Archibald still ahead, and Adrian's lap time at the end of lap 3, 18 minutes 39.4. The light is on for Paul Hunt. He'll be coming down Glen Crutchery Road in a few moments from now. 18 minutes 39.4 seconds, Adrian's lap time for lap 3. That's an average speed of 121.34 miles an hour, but that does include the pit stop. It includes the pit stop. Number 78 is pushing in. All sorts of riders having problems with fuel, aren't they? And that's Giorgio Cantalupo on the Aprilia. It made a great noise when it set off, but absolutely dead quiet now as it comes back. And there goes Chris Heath, number 9, stopping the clock at 156 miles an hour as he passes under the footbridge now and beyond our view and the descent down Bray Hill. But the story is all about Suzuki. It's the Taz Suzuki team, and the story is also about Paul Hunt. And here come two riders. There's number 10 and there is number 15 going through, applauded on his way by the fire crews watching down there in the pit lane. So terrific performance by Paul Hunt. He was right up behind Mark Parrott. Mark Parrott starting in 10, Paul Hunt starting at 15, so he's pulled back an awful lot on the road. And there goes through rider number 17, Gordon Blackley, on the 1000cc Honda CBR with the RAF roundels on the front of the fairing. We can give you a readout now of the top few positions as they start lap 4, as Gary Carswell goes through. The leader is number 1, Adrian Archibald. He has a 40-second advantage over his teammate, Bruce Anstey, who is 41 seconds ahead of Paul Hunt in 3rd place. Now to motorcycle news, Glenn Helen and Morris.
Thank you, Charlie. Adrian Archibald, perfect timing once again. Sweeps it round the left-hander. 28 miles to go to the checkered flag to, duplicate last year's win for Adrian Archibald. A race of changing fortunes, I think one could realistically say, right from the very start, and considerable numbers of retirements, and somebody's ill fortune is always somebody else's good fortune, and Paul Hunt, with a great ride, is benefiting from that. 18, that's Paul Duckett started in the back of the field, you may remember, so he's had a lot of traffic to get through, but he's still circulating pretty well. At the moment, it's Taz Suzuki 1-2, and I'm sure they'd be delighted at that. And as Andy McGladdery said up there at Ramsey, both the Yamahas out, and it's certainly been a vast attrition rate. So let's have a look at some other factors before we get the arrival of Bruce Anstey. He should be here any moment. 40 seconds, I think, on starting interval, as they mix it, of course, with some of the later runners. That was Duncan Bailey, an addition to your programme, or a change, because Andy Wallace moved up, if you recall. That was number 77, Duncan Bailey. So he's through on the previous lap. So 40 seconds the starting time from Adrian Archibald to Bruce Anstey. A further 40 seconds ahead. That's about 1:20. But here is Anstey now. Sweetly round. Behind him, number 80. That's Wade Boyd. Then just looking down, didn't quite catch that one. So it'll be some time before we get Paul Hunt, of course, here. But it's not the completion of racing. This is lap 4, the completion of racing as far as we're concerned on the mountain circuit. But tomorrow we're down at Ballown, and lots of your favourites will be down there. So those who are staying on, let's see you get along there. As two machines interview now. These are bound to be the Laketer runners, I would expect. 81 and 83, two of those, Martin Hemberg and Mark Harland. We'll give them a mention. Because, yes, we'll be doing the commentary on that for Radio TT with Charlie Williams and myself. And in the paddock will be Chris Kinley as well. But that's Chris. So 28 miles, the only flying lap, remember this one. We have seen number 51, Fabrice Miguet, on that Vauxhall. Silver leathers, a silver machine. It's a little bit like the Tin Man out of Wizard of Oz, but a fantastic sound and sight to thrill the spectators, and which has been a great day's racing in pretty well perfect conditions despite the damp this morning. The conditions this afternoon have been excellent indeed, as seen by that first lap and second lap, in fact, for that matter, set up by John McGuinness before he was an unfortunate departure and a retirement. As I say, there have been many of those: Ian Locker, Jason Griffiths, Ryan Farquhar, Sean Harris. So of those numbers that we did mention in, all those riders that we've mentioned all week long, we've seen the departure of, more than a handful of them. But it's Adrian Archibald who leads from Ballymoney in Northern Ireland. 39 seconds his advantage here. That's 1 second less, that is, over Bruce Anstey than it was at the grandstand, but a very comfortable lead with some 28 miles of racing to go. Opportunity once again to thank my timekeeper in Turnbull, but I think he'll be called to do some more work in the lap of honour and the classic parade. Number 9, Chris Heath, still going well. Like a later one, I think it's number 80, I picked that up. It couldn't be Wade Boyd, we'd had him through previously. Machine 10, 86 it was. I think that was Mark Parrott going through. 86 was the one I missed, Scott Stewart. As I said, my thanks to Ian, also Darren, our engineer, Darren Leeming, who's been with us all week, and of course the marshals around the course, and particularly here at Glen Helen, who are so good to us. The machine of you. Very different, isn't it? Oh, I don't believe this. Number 15, Paul Hunt, reported touring at Balig. Oh, what a great shame. Number 15, Paul Hunt, reported touring at Balig. That, of course, will mean that, just trying to think now, 14, of course, is Gary Carswell. He'll move up. But yes, unfortunate disappointment there. I think 14, Gary Carswell's just gone through. As we spoke there, that will have the, we'll probably slot him into 3rd place. So the news from Glen Helen, the final time in this senior, is number 1, Archibald, who leads by 39 seconds from number 5, Bruce Anstey. Yes, number 14, Gary Carswell, moves up into that 3rd place, and number 9, as the yellow flag is put out, because this is Hunt touring in, I think. No, it isn't, certainly touring in. With that, back to the Motorcycle News Grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
What better way to finish off a great day's racing than with a great meal? Everyone's welcome at the Paragon restaurant at the Hilton Hotel and Casino. Choose from the 2-course carvery at just $11.95 or tuck into a succulent steak with a selection of sauces at only $14.95. Tempted? Then make sure of your table by calling the Paragon now on 682755.
Which venue has the greatest live music lineup this TT, plus the most exotic shows? The answer's simple, the venue. And with free entry before 10, you know you simply need to get in for the best party night around. The venue, Central Prom Douglas, where great music and good times are all part of the TT experience.
De Glen Helen, temps chrono est vérifié en tête le numéro 1, Adrian Archibald, 39 secondes d'avance sur le numéro 5, Bruce Anstey, suivi de près par un Manois, numéro 14, Gary Carswell, Paul Hunt, Touring à Boleg, malheureusement. Okay, Heike.
Ja, danke schön. Sensationen oder aber Drama, wie man es auch sieht. Die neue schlechte Nachricht ist, Paul Hunt tourt jetzt auch nicht mehr im Rennen, also jetzt an erster Stelle von Glen Helen, inoffiziell Archibald mit 39 Sekunden Vorsprung auf Nummer 5, das ist Bruce Anstey, der wiederum hat einen enormen Vorsprung von 86 Sekunden auf die Nummer 14, Gary Carswell, zurück an Charlie.
Well, the news from Glen Helen MCN point there is that Paul Hunt's problem is clutch. It's a clutch problem with Paul Hunt. Desperate news. An urgent message. Bill Smith to go to scrutineering. Bill Smith to scrutineering. We're to MCN Ramsey.
As we await Adrian Archibald, no sign of him just yet. Well, what an amazing day. No, we got false alarm. That's your fault, Ian. I've got Ian Locker in the box with me. When we get a second, when we get the first few through, we'll let Ian explain what his problems are. As Adrian Archibald does come into view, final lap for Adrian Archibald in the lead. Oh, very slow and steady around the hairpin. That's the slowest I've seen him around here all day. Not a bike problem, just not to alert all his mechanics and friends and followers. I don't think he has a bike problem, but he was very steady around here. I'm sure Adrian's been looking at his boards, and he knows all he has to do is coax it now up to the top of the mountain and then down the other side and home for another victory. And it will be some relief to Adrian, because he hasn't had a great TT at all, certainly not by his standards. By other people's standards, he's had a fantastic time, but Adrian has very high standards, and basically, if he doesn't win, he hasn't done well, and this will be, assuming he gets home first, his first victory of the week, and a well-deserved one too. We're waiting for probably Bruce Anstey to come through next, we hope. We're getting some of the later runners through. That's actually number 18, who was started, Paul Duckett. He started from the back. We obviously don't have a time on Paul, but looking down at some of the machinery that's been going through as we wait for Bruce Anstey, if you keep your eyes open for Paul Owen, number 55, I haven't seen him this lap, but certainly last lap we didn't see him as much as hear him. It's the last ever two-stroke you probably hear. As into sight comes Bruce Anstey, a lot faster approach from Bruce. He's obviously seen his board, maybe seen the times dropping. He's still on it, he's still trying to wave to the crowd there. I think his signalman's just around the corner, so it could be a wave to his signalman there. So the two Taz Suzuki safely through here on the final lap at Ramsey. So just 13 3/4 miles to go for both the Taz Suzukis, and Adrian Archibald holds a 32-second advantage over Bruce Anstey. So basically, barring any mishap, machine failure, running out of petrol, and one of the other 2,000 things that can go wrong, it's Archibald from Anstey 1-2. We maybe just have a quick word with Ian, and he can explain what exactly went wrong with his machine. Ian Locker.
Yeah, Randy, just disappointed there, broke down a battery or something's gone, and it's just disappointed for my team more than anybody else. They put so much hard work into it, Mark Johns, Bob Campbell and all, Martin and David and all the rest of the guys. They've been brilliant this week. It's just such a shame, disappointed.
You could see the disappointment, because you were banging the tank, of course, in front of us, and then pushed the bike behind, and then I could see you walk off and distraught, leant over the hedge. I mean, it's such a big event, and your last chance of victory, of course, this week. You obviously feel it about in the heart.
Yeah, it's just been a terrible week for us this year. Nothing has seemed to have gone right, and You know, I fell off the other day, and then the production mic then earlier on was sort of cutting out on slow corners, and had to keep turning the ignition off and turn it back on again, and eventually dropped back and finished 5th. So just been disappointing, and everything we seem to have done seems to have made us go backwards somehow. But that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just got to carry on, you know.
What about conditions out on the circuit? Is it still damp under the trees?
No, it's pretty good. It's dry everywhere, but yeah, everywhere. It's just windy and blustery, and just very blustery on the mountain. Otherwise, it was good conditions, you know.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Sorry to burden you with that in your moment of distress. I know Ian well, and he'll bounce back. He's down, but he's not out. That's a certainty. So we await the next riders through. Of course, a big gap now. In fact, I can't even think who's going to slot into third now. Here we go. Chris Heath. In fact, right, Gary Carswell, I think, is going to slot into third as Chris Heath comes round aboard his Honda. Chris Heath taking a fine line out, lovely big wheelie on the exit. And here, in fact, comes number 10, Mark Parrott. Mark Parrott, beautiful. Another one that's got it really all on the deck here. Some of the guys keep it fairly upright and try and get the power down early, and other guys just slam it on the side, on their knee, footrest just about scraping the ground, and fire it round that hairpin. As we await Gary Carswell, he'll be through in... no, here's Martin Finnegan. Yeah, lovely big broadside. Excellent work by Martin Finnegan. Beautiful. Now, he's pulled out on Gary Carswell, I think, because if I recall the last lap, Gary Carswell was on the road, was very close to Martin Finnegan. So has Gary dropped back? Has Martin moved up? It's hard to say at this point. We're just looking for times yet. He's Gary Carswell, so I guess he's still got that advantage, but it's not as much as it was. But Gary Carswell looks very quick, very smooth. He's another one that's consistent around the hairpin. You could draw the line for Gary Carswell too, because he takes the same line lap after lap after lap and never deviates. As another one comes into view, I think this is one of the lapped riders. Yes, it is, number 86. Well, we can't give you too many times this lap because they're spread out greatly, but it's a Taz Suzuki. Adrian Archibald, number 1, holds a 30-second advantage in the lead from Bruce Anstey, number 5, second place, who holds 1 minute 30 seconds over Gary Carswell in third place. He in turn holds a 2-second lead over equal Parrott and Finnegan, equal, and they're 1 second ahead of Chris Heath. So it's going to be hectic. Back to the MCN grandstand.
At Standard Bank, we're committed to the island's community. We're proud to sponsor this year's Senior TT. If you want a global bank that thinks local, Standard Bank has the answer.
Out on your bike? Don't raise the odds against your safety. Take a risk overtaking or stray on the wrong side of the road, and you might as well be playing Russian roulette. You're gambling with your life. You could be gambling with someone else's. Remember, slow down. Roads bite back.
Well, it's all about the Taz Suzuki boys at the top of the field, but it's also a terrific scrap going on for that third place on the podium between Carswell, Parrott, Finnegan and Heath. There's just 3 seconds separating those 4 riders as they hurtle across the mountain. So if you're watching in the Cregny Bar area or at Hilbury, stand by. You're going to see some terrific motorcycle sport over the next few minutes. But what about Gary Carswell, 35 years of age? He's never finished higher than 8th in a TT here on his home island, and that was in the Proddy 1000. But the light is on for Adrian Archibald. The light is on for Adrian Archibald on the Taz Suzuki, the man from Ballymoney who won this event last year for the same colours, the Temple Auto Salvage Suzuki GSXR 1000. Adrian, who was runner-up to John McGuinness in the Formula 1 last Saturday. Since then, it's been a pretty disappointing time for him. 5th in the Proddy 1000, then retiring at Bishop's Court in the Junior TT, and 9th in the Proddy 600 this morning. We wondered if he'd left his gunpowder at home this year, but the answer is an emphatic no. Adrian Archibald is steaming towards victory. He'll be on his way down towards the foot of Governor's Dip. Nice and careful, no mistakes now as we look up Glen Crutchery Road. Everybody in the grandstand poised, and here he comes. Adrian Archibald takes the checkered flag. It's bike number 1. It's man number 1. The Senior TT is won once again by Adrian Archibald. A wonderful performance. He was there to take advantage when John McGuinness fell by the wayside, when Ian Locker went adrift. There were no mistakes at all. It's a team event, and that is what counted. Nobody ever said it would be easy to win the Isle of Man Senior TT, and Adrian Archibald has succeeded. The Taz Suzuki team has succeeded where the others failed. We wait for Bruce Anstey to cross the line in second place. The final lap time then for Adrian Archibald, 18 minutes 28.8 seconds. That was the final lap time at an average speed of 122.5 miles an hour. 122.5 miles an hour. So the lap record remains intact. The race record held by David Jeffries, but the winner of the senior is now with Chris Kinley.
Senior winner last year, the senior winner again in 2004. And let's let him take his helmet off. The gloves are thrown to the front of the bike. He's going to wrench his helmet off his head. There we go. And he's not had the best of luck. He's been consistent all week, but hey, he was there when it mattered. Lots of people going out. Locker went out, McGuinness went out, but you've got to be there at the end to take the win. And well done, Adrian.
Yeah, that's right. You know, obviously John had caught me in the road, and then after the pit stop, I didn't know whether he was out in front of me or behind me. It was all mixed up, and then I got P1 on the board, and then I seen the name went out, and just the TS Suzuki was running brilliant the whole race. You know, it never missed a beat, and it's got me here at the end.
Bruce second.
Right.
Just to be confirmed, but Bruce is second so far.
Didn't even know who he was saying.
John McGuinness went out at Kurt Michael, Ian Lock went out at Ramsey Hairpin as well, and we might even have a Manx fella in third.
Right.
But you must be pleased with that. Melanie as well just run down as well, but of course, yeah, but you win the Joey Dunlop Trophy as well again.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's unfortunate for John, but I suppose that's the way it goes around the TT, but it's a good end for me to a pretty tricky week.
Well done, Adrian. Congratulations.
Right, thanks.
There we go. So first place, well done. Sorry, we'll just let all the family get in there. Let's go and have a word with Bruce. If I can just get through the scrum here, and there's people absolutely everywhere. There's good ladies there as well. And a second place, a 1-2 for the TAS team, and a second place for Bruce again. Gets the gloves off. He doesn't seem that all puffed in. He's probably going to go back to the caravan for a bit of a sleep now before he goes out a little bit later on. But he got his foot down. You've got to be there, like I said to Adrian at the end, to get the result. And a second place. Let's take the lid off. Do you want a drink? Get your hat on. Let's get the sponsor's hat on. Well done, Bruce. A second place behind Adrian.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I was been struggling with the bike with vibration all.
Oh, you've got blisters all on your hand as if you've been working hard with a hammer or something like that. What's caused that?
It's just, I don't know, I've got a problem with vibration through the handlebars, and it's just, I was almost ready to stop on that second lap. I thought, well, I'll just carry on and see how it goes, and then slowly everyone was dropping out. I thought, oh, okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, so sort of a bit of luck in the end. So. But no,
a good win, though, by about 40-odd seconds, I would say, I think it was. But, you know, if you've got a problem like that, you're just hanging on.
Yeah, just sort of hanging on for dear life, really.
A good week, though. Superb week.
Yeah, no, it's on the podium all week, so I'm very happy with that.
Excellent, Bruce. Thank you very much for talking to us. Go and enjoy the TAS night tonight.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruce Anstey there. So there's your 1-2, Adrian Archibald and also Bruce Anstey. While we're waiting for third place, Charlie, do you have any times for these guys? Okay.
Yes, we can tell you that Archibald won by 30.2 seconds ahead of Anstey. So Adrian Archibald, the winner of the senior, by 30.2 seconds ahead of Bruce Anstey. But the main focus now is who is going to take that third spot on the podium, and the light is on for Gary Carswell, number 14. Gary Carswell, number 14. His mum is a marshal out there at Quarry Bends. I can just imagine what must be going through her mind, because the boy's done good today, but let's see, can he bring it home in for third place? Gary Carswell, never been on the podium yet, as we look down Glencrutchery Road, and he comes past and he passes in front of us now. He takes the checkered flag, the seagulls fly up in alarm, and Gary Carswell looks very calm indeed as he coasts in towards the return lane. But we'll just need to check on the times of the others around him as well, because Martin Finnegan was right up there as well, as was Chris Heath. But it looks like he's done it. It looks like he's done it. Looking at the computer readout, we have in third place, number 14, Gary Carswell has got third place. He is on the podium, and he's finished 1 minute and 25 behind Bruce Anstey. He won't care about that. He's in third place, and we go down to Chris.
Place, yeah, hello there. Gary Carswell has got third place. Come on here, Gary. I tell you what, this fella's been trying. He won the Senior Manx a few years ago, and if you can see the big smile on his face, there's his good lady goes in. All the photographers are in on the HM Sports motorhome machine. Hugh Murphy showing the faith in Gary at the beginning of this year, and Gary Carswell, a Manx fella from Mackle, of course, he gets his third place, and of course winning the Senior Manx there not so long ago now. coming into the holding area. Hopefully this is the first of many. And Gary, take your gloves off. Go and, have you given her a kiss yet? You want to give her a kiss before you talk to me? Take your lid off first. Here comes the boys. Jumps all over the top of him. Oh, this could be an Arsenal moment at Wembley a few years ago. So you hope you're picking this up in the background. Absolutely. Hold on now. All right, so we better be careful now, boys. You are live on the radio here, so let him get his gloves off and savour the moment. Tim Glover comes in to say congratulations. We've been following him right the way through since he got this ride with Hugh, and of course he's been taking it nice and steady on the roads at Tandragee, Cookstown and also the Northwest 200. But Gary Carswell, the first time in here since the Senior Manx Grand Prix a few years ago, and third place in the Senior TT. Yes, so how about that?
Oh, that's fantastic. It's totally unbelievable. I wasn't expecting anywhere near that. I just rode the wheels off the bike as hard as I could. I just want to say a big thank you to Hugh for what he's done for me this year. He's given me a fantastic ride for the TT. He's really looked after me this year, so thanks a lot to you, good man.
You haven't given her a kiss yet. You better go and do that, or you'll be in big trouble. Big H was in third for a little while. Machine problems for Big H, and I tell you, there wasn't much between you, Mark Parrott, also Martin Finnegan, and also Chris Heath. There wasn't much between you lot, but you grabbed it. How does it feel?
Oh, it's amazing. When I saw that, I got a board at, I think it was Ballacrane, saying position 3. I couldn't believe it. And then I noticed H was touring through Glen Helen, so I had a good idea it might have been him that was ahead of me on the road there, so this is brilliant.
Night out in Ramsey tonight?
Oh no, we've got to get the bikes ready for tomorrow.
Oh, you're down in Balan, but you're gonna have 1 or 2 for tonight though, I reckon.
I think so, definitely.
Well done, Gary. Go and enjoy it. Okay, mate.
Yes, thank you.
Gary Carswell in third place. Let's go over to Maurice Maudsley, Glen Helen, who's got Paul Hunt with him. Maurice.
Yes, thanks, Chris. Yes, Gary Carswell, that's a fantastic third place, but a place that was held by the man who's standing next to me, Paul Hunt, and disappointment for him, but a great race nonetheless. Paul, what happened?
Clutch went coming out of Ballacrane. It's one of them things, brand new clutch in the bike. What do you do? Gonna have to get more clutch plates maybe.
But Ian tells me you were, what, 1850? 1815 lap to lap here. Pretty good, though.
That's not bad here. It's round about what Milky's doing. That's the one I was after, but probably haven't done it. The little bugger's got me again.
I said before we went today, I said to Paul, be careful what you say, but that's not too bad, is it, really? But obviously, you've had a good week, really. You don't seem too disappointed. Most of them seem down.
No, at the end of the day, it's only a race, I'm enjoying it. Would have finished third, would have been very nice. Good one for Gary. I hope he's going to get me a pint for inheriting third, then.
I think you've already got that pint here. We've been talking about the refreshments we get, but Big H came up here with a pint in his hand. He's enjoying that, but he's had a good race and not too disappointed. And once again, thanks to Gary,
Yeah, well done, Gary, mate. I want a pint in the beer tent.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Maurice Maudsley here at Glen Helen. Come on back to the Motorcycle News Grandstand.
Maurice, thank you very much indeed. Well, terrific stuff. And Gary Carswell, I think it just shows how determined he was to make sure that he got both his feet on that podium. When you realise that when they left MCN Ramsey hairpin, he only had the 2-second advantage over Mark Parrott and Martin Finnegan, who were close on his tail, and he managed to build that up to a 6.6 advantage over Mark Parrott by the time they got back to us here at the grandstand. So he must have absolutely given it full licks over the mountain, Gary Carswell. No way was he going to let that prize get away from him. As Chris was saying, he's had big support this year from the HM Sports motorhome setup. So as well as being a victory for the Isle of Man, it's also a victory for Ballymena, where Hugh Murphy and his business are based. Hugh is an ex-racer himself, although I think this is the first time he's been involved in the TT. So it's lovely to see people getting the success that they deserve. So Gary, having got a bronze in the Formula 1 and also a bronze in the junior. He picked up a silver in the Proddy, but this time he is on the podium for celebrations in third place. And that preparation, which he's been doing with the full Irish programme so far, really has paid off. What about the man in second place? Bruce Anstey. Well, he's got used to finishing in second place during the TT this time. He was, of course, second today in the production 600 earlier on. He was runner-up in the junior 600 as well to John McGuinness. He took third place in the Formula 1, but of course he does have a win to celebrate as well with the Proddy 1000 on Tuesday. So it's not been a bad week's work for Bruce Anstey, the man now based at Windsor but born in Wellington, New Zealand. But congratulations, of course, are due to Adrian Archibald, the man who finished as he started at number 1. So a resume of what's been a dramatic event with Heike and Mavis.
Merci Charlie, quel drame, chouf, ça décoiffe, hein? Le vainqueur de le senior comme l'année dernière, numéro 1, Adrian Archibald, 1 heure 13 minutes 08 secondes. Numéro 1, Adrian Archibald, 1 heure 13 minutes 8 secondes. En deuxième, le numéro 5, Bruce Anstey, 1 heure 13 minutes 38 secondes. En troisième, le Manois, le numéro 14, Gary Carswell, 1 heure 15 minutes et 3 secondes. Heike.
Ja, danke schön. So kommt also das letzte große Rennen unseres TT-Festivals zum Ende. Und nun ja, vielleicht hat es keine Rekorde gegeben, keine großartigen Sensationen, aber Dramatik hoch 3. Dramatik, die sich wirklich gelohnt hat. Sicher mit einem weinenden und einem lachenden Auge für manchen, aber hier ist es also an erster Stelle und Gewinner der Senior TT Rennen 2004 ist Adrian Archibald mit einer Gesamtzeit von 1 Stunde 13 Minuten 8,1 Sekunden und das sind 30,2 Sekunden Vorsprung auf den Zweitplatzierten Bruce Anstey, die Startnummer 5 aus Neuseeland. Und der wiederum mit 1 Minute 25 Sekunden Vorsprung auf den Drittplatzierten. Und da klingen hier die Glöckchen, denn natürlich ein Lokalmatador, Gary Carswell von der Insel Mann, hat es geschafft, die Startnummer 14, nachdem wir zunächst gehofft hatten, dass Paul Hunt Nummer 15 es schaffen würde, der dann aber leider ausgeschieden ist in der letzten Runde, aber trotzdem noch ein ein Treppchen, das dritte Treppchen für die Insel Mann. Und damit zurück an Charlie.
Heike, vielen Dank. As the riders continue to finish, I'll give you a rundown of the full top 10 from that senior in just a moment. But, well, what a day for Suzuki. First, second and third. Very special performance indeed. They haven't had it all their own way this time round the mountain circuit, but they've certainly come good right at the finish. So before the podium ceremony takes place, with a reminder that, of course, we do still have the Classic Parade, and that will be off at 3:15. The Classic Parade will be off at 3:15. Full coverage here on Radio TT, and even when that is over, that's not the end of our broadcasting of TT 2004, because we're staying on the air throughout tomorrow, and there'll be full live coverage of the Steam Packet events down at Bilaun tomorrow. So this is how things finished regarding the top 10, and there are a couple of very special performances as well in 7th and 9th places, so listen out for those. But the winner, number 1, Adrian Archibald, 30.2 seconds ahead of Bruce Anstey. Anstey, number 5, in 2nd place, 1 minute and 25 seconds ahead of the man in 3rd place, Gary Carswell, on bike number 14. Gary Carswell, 6.6 seconds ahead of Mark Parrott in 4th. Mark Parrott, 0.8 seconds ahead of number 12, Martin Finnegan, in 5th. Martin Finnegan had an 11.4 second advantage over the man in 6th place, that's Chris Heath. And Chris Heath was just 2.8 seconds ahead of Guy Martin in 7th. Guy Martin beginning at number 29 on the road, a newcomer. It's his debut here at the TT on the GSXR Suzuki from Derry in Northern Ireland. So a wonderful performance by him. Congratulations to Guy Martin. And he was 35.1 seconds ahead of, in 8th place, number 17, Gordon Blackley on the Honda. And Gordon 20.4 seconds ahead of, in 9th place, number 44, David Bell. So a terrific performance by David from Andy McGladdery country, I think, up there in the northeast, Chesterley Street. So well done to him on the Suzuki. And David Bell, 11.9 seconds ahead of the 10th place finisher, and that was number 24, Ian Armstrong on the Yamaha. That's the way the top 10 looked at the end of lap 4, at the end of the senior. So our congratulations, of course, go to Adrian Archibald, who picks up £18,300 for his efforts this afternoon. We'll give you some more of the significant finishes as well when we have them. And also, of course, there are special prizes for the 250cc's, the 600cc's, and the 750s. There was only Paul Owen who qualified for the 250s on his Honda. He has to finish in replica time in order to pick up his special prize. Well, the bikes are on their way up for the presentation in front of the podium, and it's Gary Carswell's Suzuki that's being wheeled up first, number 14, and I must say it's lovely to see Gary getting some reward, and also his sponsor getting reward for all the effort that they've put in this year. They really have been taking this road racing exceptionally seriously, and it's all paid off today. Of course, big bad luck to Paul Hunt, who looked as if he was set for that third place, but as I mentioned earlier on, nobody ever said it was easy to win the senior TT here around the Isle of Man. But Adrian Archibald, doing it for the second time running, has marked himself out as being a mega star here on the Isle of Man. And here comes his bike now, with Bruce Anstey's as well being pushed up, and the riders will be making their way up in a few moments' time for the final presentation of TT 2004, the garlanding ceremony to be conducted by Richard Corkill, the Chief Minister of the Isle of Man government. And don't forget, of course, that the event is sponsored by Standard Bank Offshore. The bike's being manoeuvred into position. It's been a very eventful senior TT, with John McGuinness going off like a train early on, opening up an advantage, first of all over Ian Locker. Then when Locker was overtaken by Archibald, McGuinness forging ahead, and he was at one stage 21 seconds ahead when they came into the pits at the end of lap 2 was John McGuinness, but then it all began to go pear-shaped for him. The first time this week that really anything has gone badly amiss, and unfortunately he bowed out at Kirkmichael on lap 3 with clutch problems. Well, that allowed Adrian Archibald to get into the lead, which he did, and after that there was no stopping the man on the Suzuki. Let's say a big thank you, well done, and a big pat on the back to the marshals out at Ballig. They've collected over £2,000 for the helicopter fund during the TT. And I will mention it again at the close of our broadcasting, but I'll do so now. A big thank you all round to the marshals for their assistance during practice and the races, and that message comes from the chairman of the TT Marshals Association. So it wasn't just the first place here which saw problems for leading people. Ian Locker, as we heard, being interviewed out there at Ramsey, he was also one that fell by the wayside. But all that's history. It's all about the three who are on their way to the podium, and we will have the fanfare. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have before us now on the podium the top 3 riders from the Standard Bank Offshore Senior TT, and the garlanding ceremony is about to take place. In third place from the Isle of Man on a Suzuki, Gary Carswell. In second place on a Suzuki from New Zealand, Bruce Anstey. And the winner of the senior TT on a Suzuki from Northern Ireland, Adrian Archibald. And as the garland is placed around his neck, we will have the national anthem of the United Kingdom. Well, everybody was saying what has happened to the Irish at this TT, what's happened to the famed Luck. I think we've had the answer. They were saving the best for last, because we've had Ryan Farquhar winning this morning on the Kawasaki, and now Adrian Archibald on the Suzuki. And the champagne has been presented, and beating a sensible retreat is the Chief Minister as the corks are about to come off the bottle. We hope. They're having a bit of a problem with it, but Anstey is first. Anstey is first off the blocks. He's giving them all a good dousing. And there's Gary Carswell, and he sent that cork flying. I think that was a world record as well. Terrific distance on that. So the champagne is spraying up there on the senior TT podium, and at long last, Adrian Archibald has got going as well. So they're having a right good champagne shampoo up there. And, well, lovely moments here in Douglas at the end of the senior TT. It's been a dramatic race, it's been an eventful race. In the end, it was won in some style by Adrian Archibald, but what a day's racing we have seen with such a tight event this morning, the Proddy 600, and then the Tao Suzuki boys coming good in the senior this afternoon. So they now make their way down from the podium. Just looking to see if we've got final results then from outside the top 10 that we can give you, and I think we can as riders continue to finish. So I've given you the top 10 already, so I'll resume with rider number 11, and that... Right, sorry about that, just Norman's just pointing me in the correct direction. Right, so in 11th place was number 41, Yoon Maida. In 12th was number 27, Chris Palmer. 13th was number 20, Nigel Beattie. 14th was number 36, Andy Wallace. And in 15th place, number 30, Alex Donaldson. So those are the top 15.